Good God, we are back. Oh my gosh, dude, guys, I have missed you too. I really have.
Yeah.
I'm out of jail though, so
Love.
yeah. Hey, thank you. You got it. I'm out of jail, so we can have conversations and collaborate and all that kind of stuff.
I love it.
So with that, hey, let's chat about that. Matt's gonna go in and out with that Johnson City, Tennessee internet connection. So he'll get it. We were talking earlier, before we came live, about growth, leadership, and opportunities. And let's start that. Start with the growth piece of it. And I'll give just an example of this. Right now, having been on the general side for so many years, dabbled and been in the builder side, I see a difference. Right. And it's interesting to look at it in that on the general side, I remember massive opportunities for continued growth, whether it was mastermind groups, whether it was ongoing training. There was something daily that we could go in and see on how to sell. There was something from all the companies that I've been with that was a continuous process of how do we make the agents and give them the tools to help them sell more, right? And what I saw on the other side was that there was an initial training program, but then once you're in the field, there is no follow-up on, the continued training and things like that. And as a matter of fact, and I told you guys, we had this conversation, I tried to start a mastermind group and actually was reprimanded for doing that. And it's like, everything's got to come from the inside and from our thing. And I did find out that it's not everybody, right? It was localized to where I was. But it's interesting to look at that. So from a growth perspective, what are you guys doing to grow? What's the importance of that? And where are you getting those from if it's not internally with where you are?
Matt, why you got internet, brother?
Yeah. Can you all hear me? Am I good?
Yep, you're good.
Keep on doing that one. But anyways, the growth, you got to think though, we're such a new division here in Northeast Tennessee. 2017, this all started in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I think they sold 5 homes that year. This has grown into something that's relatively huge. So the growth keeps on coming here in the aspect of them buying land and all that good stuff. So the growth is going to keep coming here. That's 100% sure.
How about when it comes to developing you as a salesperson?
Okay. Okay. Well, developing as a salesperson, then, for me personally, the way I do it is I constantly study. I'm constantly studying something. I cannot stand to be put into a box. In the aspect of, I've got to keep free flow thinking. My big thing right now is I'm hooked on AI. I am hooked on learning what AI is going to do, not only for this industry, but for the world. So I'm kind of engaged in that at the moment. So that just kind of shows you where my mentality is with the technology and trying to utilize it.
I love that. Generative AI is something that I think is an important piece that is not going to replace us on the sales side, but it's something that on the sales side we have to use and figure out how to use to get better at what we're doing. And that's we can go into that. That could be a whole show, right? And a whole discussion. Curtis, what are you seeing on the growth side? What if we're not being given the growth opportunities within our company? I'm not saying move from one position to another or one area to another. I'm talking about a skills growth piece of it, right? A skills and knowledge piece. What are you doing and how do you help your sales consultants grow?
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot to unpack.
I'm like that. You know how that works, right?
That's a really big question. Let me just back up for 2 seconds, just simply because you said something. You said you've had that experience on both the general as well as the builder side of things. And so have I, of course, and, there is a difference, right? So one is, on that general side, you and I were surrounded by, I think in general, there's this entrepreneurial spirit, right? And we were surrounded by companies and people and stuff like that were always looking to get better. And I don't know if that was the industry, meaning because that industry is always evolving, right? There was always you always had to make yourself better. So many people getting in there, like the competition's so steep. And not that there's not competition in the builder world, just that, like, it just seemed like that thing was always like a moving target, right? And you had to engage in training and growth and that. And those that did, rise to the top and are at the top and, sell millions of dollars in real estate. And those that didn't, unfortunately, made their way out of real estate, right? So that part was different. And again, I was trying to think of why, because you just mentioned it a few moments ago. And then we get over here to the builder side and we're putting up houses. And I think there's a mentality. I had this conversation just the other day. There's this mentality around, we build homes. Well, you do, but it's a sales organization. And we need to start thinking like salespeople. And the company itself needs to think, I'm a sales organization. We just happen to build houses. That's the widget that we provide, right? But it is a sales organization. And so with that being said, they don't have a lot of formal training and growth, that they're just pouring in where you've got to consistently involve. Unfortunately, I think there's this kind of this old school, this is the way we did it, always do it, and we'll do it, right? And they look to one another as competition. They just simply match one another oftentimes. And so they really don't, there's not this big thinking. There's not this, I got to go get better. And so to answer your question, I do my best to pour into the folks that are around me, because I know, and when you're investing in yourself as far as growth and education, how can I be better and do better and whatever, you do better, right? So I don't know what I say, but you throw 10% of your income into investing in yourself and you'll make that much more money next year and all the fun things, right? So we got to go seek that stuff out. That's what we do. I bring as much as I can to my folks. And my gosh, the reaction to it has been amazing. I think they certainly appreciate it, because it wasn't necessarily there before, at least not at the level that, I've experienced in the past. So I don't know if that answered your question or that was just a long story.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the differences too, and Matt, you were on the general side for a little while too. So, you look at the difference between the two agents. So I see, and again, I'm going to keep saying this, Matt, you are an exception to this rule. But when I look at a lot of them, on the general side, you have to spend your own money to make money. You have to pay for your advertising. You have to pay for your marketing. You have to pay for every piece that you do. No one's paying for it for you on most of the accounts, right? On the builder side, the marketing's team is paying for it. The company is paying for it. So I think that there was a different standard in that, as a perfect example, I sat in these meetings and all it is how many views and how many clicks are on the website. Well, we can brag about that, but it's absolutely the most irrelevant stat that you can ever have, because the key is how many actual leads are coming through, and then what's the conversion rate, right? And you look at that differently. And when I had to take the money out of my pocket to do the marketing and advertising, there was a different standard. And there was a different understanding of where to get that. And then on the other side too is, I didn't have anybody walking through my door, so I had to go make relationships. And Matt, you do this fantastically well in that you're going out and making relationships with the part of the industry that has 70% of the buyers, right? 70% of the business. And that's the general side. And I've heard comments about how so many companies want to either cut down the commissions for the general side real estate, or I heard that in my former division that they even want to cut out the realtor altogether, right? And it's like, why would you cut your nose off to spite your face when you're doing that. I mean, that's 70% of the business. But again, it goes back to looking at it. It's a sales organization that's selling a box, not somebody that's building something, but then has to tolerate the sales organization, which is a different mentality in a lot of cases. So, yeah, go ahead. I know there wasn't a question. That was just like, looking at the difference.
So let me say this, like on the aspect of D.R. Horton, Mr. Horton himself was very fond of real estate agents. And the story goes that in 1978, when he first started this, him and his wife literally ate with a real estate agent the first 3 years that he was in business. Like he would take them out to, like they didn't eat alone. He always had a real estate agent with them. And that mentality thinking, I think that propels D.R. Horton in the aspect of looking at real estate agents. So that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Now on the aspect of new construction sales personnel, like for myself personally, I'm not afraid to spend money to make money myself. For an example, I am one of the Keller Williams premier partners. I partner with them every year. Not only that, I'm engaged in, I go to their banquets. I support their banquets. I support their bold. I support quite a bit of what Keller Williams does. And to support those agents, not just for myself, but to support those agents. So there's, as far as the sales consultants on new construction side, there's definitely ways that you can engage, market yourself and things like that. And believe it or not, that's where, and I know I said this earlier, that's where AI is going to come into effect if we all wanted to utilize it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting you said that too. I had a conversation with Gene Nevis. I'll throw his name out there because he's just a rock star in the new construction world. 103 sales last year, by the way, in Katy, Texas, right? Worked for a company called Roush Coleman, which was just bought by Lennar. And here's what's interesting. He had the conversation and he very much, it says the same thing that you did, Matt. He is not afraid to go out and get it. The realtor relationships are a huge part of his business, but then so is learning and growing and sharing and collaborating. And as a matter of fact, he said that, he sold 103 homes without having incentives because Rouse Coleman didn't have an internal marketing, mortgage company, right? They didn't have one. So think about that. Every one of his sales at 103 homes was at 7%. That's called learning and growth and skill and embracing that piece of it. And my challenge to most of the sales consultants that are out there, if we took away all your incentives, how many homes are you going to sell? Matt, you're going to sell the same amount or more. Yeah. But it's like, that's a legitimate question, because right now, if you look at it too, and this is that other piece of it, you look at all the websites that are out there, all the marketing websites from all of the builder sites, they're all the same. It's all about how many incentives and what the interest rate is, right? It's kind of that race to the bottom piece of it. It's like who's selling and who's selling the lifestyle and the dreams. You are, right? But who is doing that on their site? Because that's what people are looking for. And when you think about it, that's the only thing that the general side has. That they don't have the incentives, right? They don't have the interest rates that are going on there. All they have to do, all they have in the pocket is to sell the dreams and the lifestyle and find out what truly somebody is looking for, which we all need to do as an industry and share that growth opportunity. So, yeah. Curtis?
Well, I didn't hear a question. I love where Matt's head's at. I mean, listen, real estate agents not going away. They're not. And, nope. I think there's opportunity for builders out there. I think it's the best of both. I think you embrace the opportunity you have with the real estate professional and you keep them. They are not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And then if you choose or would like to go after direct to consumer, well, then that's something you figure out as well. But it's a both. It's not, I don't think, one or the other. Because if you look at it, look, the cost if you're going to cut them out, the cost to just go chase down direct to consumer is going to cost a pile of money, like an absolute pile of money. So you can do that, but you better learn how to do it at a very high level, like a company called Zillow, and you'll be fine. But you don't cut the real estate. I think it's a both, not one or the other.
Yeah.
And again, the real estate professional's not going anywhere. I mean, shoot, the NAR change has been in effect now for 7, 8, 9 months, and they've already proved that it hasn't. And I just talked to local association here, asked about membership. Is it up, down, this, that, and the other? They're no different than they were the year before. So they're not losing anybody. They're not going anywhere. So anyway, so that was my 2 cents on that. Thanks for bringing it up, by the way, Matt.
Well, the interesting fact of the day is Tennessee has 38,000 real estate agents, 8,000 brokers, 7,800 brokerages. So
Matt, I know for you that sounds like a lot, but down here in Florida, we got about 200 and some odd thousand real estate agents. Just FYI.
That brings up.
Okay. So Curtis, I'm going to put out something there that I told somebody yesterday. I'm not going to mention their name. I said, listen, if we get 10% of those agents on our side, that's quite a big number. So in your instance, if you say you have 200,000, you get 10% of that, brother, you all wouldn't have to sit there and worry about it. You all would just sit around the table eating turkey all day. I'm
with you, brother. I said sister. I'm with you, brother.
That's y'all are both. You're going back to that thing that the sales team, the sales consultant, the real estate agent is truly 100% in control of what they're doing. And if they're depending on someone else to do it for them, it's not going to work. If you're willing to go out there and do things, if you're willing to run your business like a business, regardless of whether you're on new construction or the general side, then you can make it work. Perfect example right there, sitting right there, Matt, Gene Nevis, all of the ones that are out there doing it. But you got to take control of it and treat it like a business, regardless of where you are and what you're doing. So with that, you brought up something interesting. How many different brokerages in Tennessee?
I think it's 7,800. That's what I read.
So we just had a big announcement. Redfin was acquired. We're going to see a lot of changes over the next 12 to 24 months on the general side and on the new construction side, I believe. You've got a lot of local independent builders. You've got a lot of local independent companies. What are you guys seeing and hearing from where you are about consolidation, mergers, acquisitions, those that are struggling versus those that are doing well? Seeing, hearing anything?
So locally, I have not. And yet I know where your head's at and what you're thinking. And that was my thought exactly. I think we can all guess what the year's going to look like or whatever. And quite honestly, I think it'll probably be similar to last year, pretty flat, flat and with last year, no big up, no big down by any means. And it might even be that way going into 26. And so if you look back to real estate and home building and all the things, it's mergers and acquisitions time. So that's going to happen. I don't know who's next, but I'm certain there's some stuff in the works. But I haven't seen anything personally, but I'm right there with you with your thought process.
No, I do know, like, as far as people are there's in Tennessee, I know this for a fact, is starting in Chattanooga. And this is kind of where it all starts, I guess, because Atlanta, some of the bigger hubs in the South start in Chattanooga and they work their way up the interstate, so to speak. And I know there is, and I'm not going to mention their name, there is another big company kind of going to work their way up towards Northeast Tennessee. As far as acquisitions, mergers, and all that, I haven't heard of anything here in the locally. No, I haven't heard anything. Now, you're right. In any market, the way the market's going right now, this is exactly what Curtis says. This is merger time. So it will be interesting time in the market to see what happens in the next 2 to 3 years. Absolutely.
You know, Rob, Rob, real quick to think about that. You know, while these aren't technically mergers and acquisitions, I think on a daily basis, we see large real estate teams and small brokerages joining cloud-based brokerages, which is, while there might not be money, you know, passing hands or whatever initially, but they are switching to go to these cloud brokers. And in my opinion, that's a merger, and a merger of some kind, you know?
Well, and it's not just that too. It's larger opportunities, you know, like any of the Anywhere brands, you know, becoming Coldwell Banker, becoming Sotheby's, becoming Corcoran, becoming all of the different ones out there. And it's the same, you know, you look at it, doesn't matter if it's on the general side or the new construction side, it's the same reasons, right? Okay, it's getting harder. They've got to do more. They need the leverage piece of somebody that's doing it. It's almost that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with thing, right? Who is in your court to help you and your agents or sales consultants do more and help you achieve more. And so you've got to look at that, especially in rough times or in flat times where there's a challenge. It's like, for those that are out there, you know, look at some of these, because there are some big advantages to who you affiliate with and who you are surrounded by. So it can be a massive opportunity for whoever's out there willing to look.
Sure.
Yeah. So what do you see as the big opportunities? What do you see as the downfall or the challenge with the new construction side over the next 12 to 24 years? Do they continue putting out the same ads and living in the same world, or do you think that there's a good opportunity to go outside and start expanding the mindset?
Let me say this. There has to be a change in mentality. You have to grow. The ever-evolving world that we're in now, we all have to think about one thing. How long has spec building been around? Say, like, really 1978, you know, we go through that whole chain. We go to 2009, things cease to exist.
Mm-hmm.
We really didn't get flowing back till 2017, 2018, right? In spec building. Relatively speaking, in the building world, because it takes time to build things, develop things, we're relatively a baby in our second generation of spec building, right? We went through one generation of spec building, ceased to exist. Now we're going into another generation of spec building. So one could argue that this is actually relatively still new in this generation. So that being said, that will evolve. It's going to have to evolve. Now, that's another reason I believe that agents on the outside broker or on resale side is they kind of shy away from it because it's something they haven't known or heard about their whole entire life. And now it's coming to an existence, and they need to evolve and understand what this industry is. Because honestly, in the next, I predict in the next 4 years, it's going to be where it's 30% now, it's going to be roughly about 50% of real estate. In the aspect of a couple different things. One is that the actual builders building these spec homes, but they'll actually have to go back to the resale side because life happens, divorces, whatever, and they'll start selling these houses again. So it's actually might even become more of that business. So the ever evolving spec building world is going to have to evolve. It's going to have to change the mentality of everybody if you want it to keep growing, because it's what you said is right now, if we're stagnant, if you can build in a stagnant time, you achieve something. Wouldn't we all agree with that? So how do you do that? One, you think like an entrepreneur, you think outside the box, you don't hold constraints, you let people free think, and I promise you great things will happen.
You mean don't force somebody to be in a box?
Don't force somebody to be in a box. I'll tell you that right now. I'm a prime example. Do not do that. You put me in a box, I will bottle up or I will explode. I mean, it's just the way. Can't stand it. So, and that's one great thing I have to say about here is they do let me free think. They let me do my thing within corporate guidelines and all that. But I mean, for the most part, free thinking.
Yeah. Well, that months ago, you brought up something too that is a massive opportunity that's being missed on the general side, right? Is to work with the new construction, the builders, the on-site sales consultants in a couple of ways. One is, I see that when there's a closeout of a community, what do you do with the last 4, 5, 6 houses? Well, in most builder situations, and a lot of them, they're going to list them with an agent that they've built a relationship with on the general side, right? Great opportunity. If you're not building the relationships, you never get the opportunity. But two, man, you start in a development or a community in 6 months after you've closed 20 houses, what happens? Resales start. Yeah. Matt, you can't, as far as I know, you can't list houses, can you?
No, I wished I could, because you know what? I would not have to worry about it at all. I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you 2 to 3 times a week, I get a phone call, Matt, could you list my house? I'm like, you had an agent. Why don't you call that agent? Unfortunately I can't. It's because they didn't build that relationship. And I hate to say that, but that's exactly what's happened.
Oh, well, we didn't use ours, as you know, and it's, that is that second big opportunity. And it doesn't matter if you brought them a buyer necessarily at the beginning, but guys, start marketing to that community, because you're going to have that opportunity. But go build the relationships. If you put me on the sales side, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to concentrate on the new construction side if I'm on the resale and the general side, because I'm going to start building relationships with Matts out there, and I'm going to start marketing to the neighborhoods that are new and starting as well. Because I can start with 20 homes, right? And then as I get business, I can start leading with revenue and building that opportunity with those new homes that as they close. And it's like, guys, you're going to be the only one doing it. But huge, huge opportunity on the general side and on that side.
I think the statistic, Curtis, we had a statistic come in, I think in our division, that said to 80%, we try to use 80% of real estate agents. Are you all about that? 80% of your sales come from real estate agents? Where are you guys?
Yeah, that's about right. Somewhere in
that
that
where you all are at?
I think that's a D.R. Horton statistic nationwide. Y'all are
Yeah.
number one at that, which is just amazing.
Yeah. Well,
oh, so by the way, side caveat, do you spend 80% of your marketing budget on realtors, since that's 80% of your sale? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Anyway.
So, the benefit for the agents is in, for us, and I don't know how, Curtis, I don't know if your division does this or not. We have a step plan where, they do 2.5%, 3.5%. 3.5% is a pretty good chunk of change to get for a deal. And plus we do bonuses along the way. I've never seen a company more friendly to real estate agents than D.R. Horton. I mean, they are by far the leader in that.
100%.
Yeah, that's something I've always seen from D.R. Horton, which is great. And I've talked to a couple of that are very much into and embrace the realtor relationship, because they get it. They know that is where that is, guys, that is 70% of the market.
So my question is if 20% aren't getting utilized, 20% of the clients, which is fine. You have walk-ins and things like that. If I was an agent, I would get to know who those 20% were, wouldn't you? I'm just saying. And then I'd probably get to know that community. And that's where we're going with this, is the ever evolving world of spec building, these agents going to have to understand, because the truth is somebody's going to figure it out before they do, and they're going to capture it. So guys, I'm speaking to you. Why not you? You know, not you two, the other, everybody.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking to me.
No, not you two.
Yeah, definitely you, Curtis.
The other agents.
All right, guys, we are at our time allotment. I mean, obviously we can keep going. This has been interesting. Big takeaways, last comments.
You know, mine only would be there's, you know, okay, so the market's a little sluggish and tougher or whatever. Doesn't matter. Huge opportunity out there. I don't care if you're in general or if you're in the building side. I think that on the building side, stop worrying about the competition and go figure out how to be different, because you can't get to better until you get to different. And then on the
Can
general
I add
side,
something? Can I add something real quick on
Yeah.
that one? Go look outside and quit being incestuous on your processes.
Yeah. There's just huge opportunity. We got to think differently and do things differently. You know, it's not going anywhere. The opportunity, there's tons of land and a shortage of houses. Not going anywhere. But if we want to sell more homes, we got to do things different. And then, you know, the general side, plenty of opportunity out there too. I mean, those folks that are in the market, they know what's happening out there. They know interest rates are high. They know there's a gazillion houses on the market, you know, months and months of inventory. They know it, but they got to move. I said yesterday on a call, go be solutions based. That's what you need to do. Go be solutions based and help people, because the ones that are actually buying and selling have a problem and they need your help. So go figure whatever that out is and make that happen. Sorry, that's my 2 cents.
Matthew?
Matt?
My 2 cents is everybody needs to learn the evolving world of AI. If you're going to grow, if you're going to think outside the box, if you're going to utilize it, don't look at it as something that's difficult or anything like that. Just go out there and learn it. The next thing is for market concerns. I want to stress this: life keeps happening all over the world for agents. So that being said, you know, don't focus on what the market, what the negativity, anything like that. Just keep your head down, keep focusing. And what I love to say, like I tell my daughter, do work.
Yep, absolutely. Curtis, what's
you, Rob?
What's your shirt say?
Keep moving forward.
There you go. All right, y'all. Keep moving forward. The opportunity's there, but it's up to you completely. Go get it. See you next time.